Hello, my name is Michael Tubbs, VP of National Credit Consulting Group, and welcome to the first episode of Let's Talk About It. Today on our show, we have Casandra Russell and my man, LeDon Clayborn. I'm going to talk to them about a little bit about what it is that they do and how they can possibly help you in your journey of becoming a homeowner. First, we're going to even though I already said her name, we're going to let Cassandra tell a little bit about who she is and what she do.
Good morning. Thank you.
Good morning.
My name is Casandra Russell. I work for Joseph Walter Realty, and I'm a licensed realtor in Michigan, but also we do business in Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Ohio, and Texas.
Nice. Check y'all out. So y'all out here.
Yeah.
I love it. Let's go out about you, brother. Tell people a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Sure. Love to, Mike. My name is LeDon Clayborn. I'm a VP of Mortgage Lending for Guarantee Rate Mortgage. We're a national lender doing business in all 50 states. I'm personally licensed in about 16 different states, including the state of Michigan. I help people with purchase, refinance. I work with the veterans. I work with first-time home buyers. You name it. We try to just help people's dreams of owning a home come true.
So it sounds like y'all the people to come to when somebody trying to get them their dream house.
I would say so, yes.
Y'all the tag team tandem.
That's right.
I love it. So, we go dive into some questions, though. We go start off with LeDon because it seems like before someone gets a home, you would be the first person they want to come talk to before they come over here and talk to Cassandra.
That's correct. So a lot of times, especially with first-time home buyers, the fear of the unknown is the big challenge. They put off even trying to consider owning a home because of either misinformation or just the fear of the unknown. So, right. First thing I would say is that you don't have to have perfect credit. If you're renting, you're paying 100% interest, and you can never get that money back. And so if you're employed or if you're able to pay rent, you should look at to see if you can convert that rent into a mortgage. Now, with that said, what do we do? Well, first thing I like to provide new homeowners or potential new homeowners is with the first-time home buyers guide. We update it every year. I got a new one coming out for 2023. And it walks them through the steps that they need to know to make it easy and seamless. This is not a complicated process. It's not hard. It's a matter of just starting the process, So a couple of things we tell them is that, one, they need to be prepared financially, so they need to, that doesn't mean you got to be Rockefeller.
Right.
You don't have to be rich to own a house. You don't need to do any of those things. But, you got to be prepared financially, meaning you got to know what your source of income is and establish that and what you can comfortably pay for housing every month. And you kind of already know if you're living on your own already because you're probably paying rent somewhere. All right. And then the next part is to be prepared emotionally because, it's an emotional transaction. The home purchase is the single largest purchase any of us usually make in our lifetime for the most of us, for the most part. And it can be very emotional, it can be very scary. So just prepare yourself to go through that process. And the one thing you can do is work with the right person who's going to, guide you through, give you the information you need, and makes you feel really comfortable and get you focusing just on making your dream come true. So
okay.
And then after that, the first thing you want to do is you want to get pre-approved.
Okay.
All right. And what's involved in getting pre-approved to buy a home? Well, we take an initial application, ask you about who you are, where you live, how old you are, what your credit number, your social security number is. So we can take a look at your credit report, how long you've been on your job, things like that.
Right.
All right. So we get that information. Then we want to get verification of your income, assets, if there are any. We have a lot of first-time home buyer programs that don't even require you to have any money to put down.
Really?
Or very little. Some people don't realize that sometimes you can get approved and buy a home with as little as a couple of grand saved. Sometimes less than that. So, but we go through all that, figure it out, and then based on that information, we can determine how much house you can be approved to purchase, what price range you can buy it. Or we go through all that and go, once we address these items here in your credit, then we can go ahead and approve you to buy this much house. So that's why it's so important to work with someone like you, Mike, because, I get clients all the time. They got one or two trade lines they need to address on their credit report, and boom, I'll go buy them a house. We don't need perfect credit. Just sometimes we just need some trade lines adjusted or dealt with or whatever. It's not as difficult as people think. But once all that's done and everything's in order, we call it was a pre-approval letter. based on the information you have us and based on the loan programs that are available, we will
Mm-hmm.
establish how much house you can buy, what you're going to be able to put down, or what what your cost is going to be. And once we have all of that, we put in a letter form, and it's the number one most important thing that Cassandra is going to need as a realtor, because that narrows down her search. And I'll let her tell you more about it. But
Right.
if you want your realtor to be motivated and able to do their job the absolute best way they can, come see me and get that pre-approval letter first, and they'll go to work for you and they'll do a great job. I know Cassandra will anyway. I know she will. So,
Thank you.
So your credit is the amount of money you can get for a home for your pre-approval is based solely upon your finances and most definitely your credit.
well, I one of the terms I love is one of the simplest way I explain to people is the 4 C's: credit, collateral, which is the home, capacity to pay, which is your income, and there are compensating factors. How long you've been on the job, how much money you have saved or don't save,
Okay.
whether you're former military, whether you're willing to looking to live in a rural area, things like that. But I go through those things for you. It's not for you to figure out as a home buyer. It's for you to just put all your information for me and let me go through all the different options for you. And once I figure it out, I'll come back to you and say, based on the information we have in front of us, here are the different options you have, and here are the ranges of homes you can buy based on these options.
Okay.
Or I come to you and say, if you have this, this, and this addressed on your credit, these will be your options available once this is taken care of. So one of the other things was up to the emotional part of this is be patient. It's not like going to buy a car. You're not going to show up to the dealership today, pick out a car, and drive home tomorrow.
Right.
Right? It's a process. Be prepared to spend anywhere from 30 to 60, 90, 120 days, or even up to a year putting this all together. But it's worth it, because as long as you're renting, you're paying 100% interest.
Right.
As a homeowner, a lot of people don't understand this. The equity in the house is the difference between what you owe and what the house is worth.
Okay.
You own that equity when you own that house. So that means, you can basically be earning back the money you're paying for the mortgage through the form of equity, and also with the payments you make. So you can't do that as a renter. So,
Right.
and it's just something about saying, hey, this is mine. I own this. This is my home. So,
Ownership.
Yeah.
Right. So like you said again, with that 100% or 1,000% rather interest, that
That's
you're,
right.
you're getting no money back.
Nothing.
So you're saying just by owning a home, you can be able to take the money out of the home that you now own if you needed some money.
Yep, you can access your equity. Your home becomes great collateral for other things. I know people who use their homes as collateral for business loans, for auto loans, for school. It's just so many advantages. It becomes the foundation of your entire financial portfolio.
Okay.
As owning a home. And a lot of times people have dreams of having a big home. Well, sometimes you get what we call a starter home. Your first time home buyer, you get your starter home. You learn how to own a home. You build some equity up in that home. You sell that home, and the profit you make off that house becomes even a substantial down payment on your dream home. So there's just a lot of different advantages to being a homeowner that I think everyone should explore and take advantage of it.
So why do you think so many people are scared to become homeowners?
Wow, Mike, that's a great question. There's obviously more than one reason. There's fear of the unknown. They've never owned, they've always rent, so they think it's more difficult than it really is.
Mm-hmm.
Someone's told them they have to have perfect credit, and which is not true.
Right.
Very few of us have perfect credit, so that's not the case. They're told that they need a lot of money. They got to have so much money saved, so much money down. I mean, if you have money, does it give you some more advantages as far as down payments and closing costs and all that kind of stuff when you're sure it does. Right. But it's not required. And owning a home is still way better than renting. So, first time home buyers can get in homes sometimes anywhere from 0 to 3% down.
Wow.
A lot of times the home seller can give concessions to cover your closing costs, so you don't need that extra money. There's so many things that can happen that get you into the home to start your financial portfolio that there's really no reason to ever wait. You should always take a look and start the process with the right person, like someone like me, right. And let's see where it goes from there. But yeah, a lot of misinformation kind of leads to or lack of understanding or knowledge. I think is a big culprit of why so many people continue to rent versus taking a shot at owning.
Right, because I just believe a lot of people rent. A lot of people rent because they just don't have the proper understanding, and a lot of it is just like you said, the lack of understanding. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people they they've shaming themselves to let someone else know, like, hey, I'm at a certain age or I'm at a certain point in my life where I might see certain people that I may have went to school with or my next door neighbor was renting as long as me. Now they own a home. And so simply you just got to position yourself to be able to just be transparent.
That's right.
Talk to someone like yourself or Casandra about the whole process, about how it goes, and it can make it a lot easier.
That's right, Mike. That's right. And, you know, again, it's an emotional transaction and a lot of fear steps in the way, but there's really nothing to be scared of. You know, going through the process of becoming a first-time homeowner, it just costs you a little time. You know, no one's going to be asking you to spend money up front, and at least they shouldn't be. I won't.
Right.
And it's just a matter of a little bit of time and being willing to get a little education. And that's what we're here for, to help you understand how truly simple it really is to own your home. So
okay, so bam, somebody come to LeDon Clayborn, fill out the application, everything is good, they're approved for $300,000. What's next?
Well, so once we go through the process and we get a pre-approval, that's where Casandra and I connect, because that's the number one thing she needs to do her job effectively. She needs to know exactly what the bank will approve you for, what type of loan programs, what's your spending tolerance, how much can you buy, and things like that. I put that in the form of a pre-approval letter, hand it off to Casandra. Now Casandra can go out and look for homes in your price range, which avoids her showing you homes that you could never afford, or wasting the seller's time or your time, or worse yet, showing you homes that you wouldn't want because she looking too low. So once we get the pre-approval, get to Casandra, now she can go start looking for a home in your range, in your price range, and then find out what your taste is and your desire and your where you want to live and so forth and so on.
So what type of advice or what's the do's and don'ts once a person is approved for that $300,000, so people can know, because everybody know about pros. They always want to talk about the pros, but what are some cons that you tell people, like, hey, listen, you're pre-approved for this. The letter is good for pre-approval is good for like the next 90 to 120 days.
That's correct. Yeah.
What advice do you give your clients?
Well, the first thing I say is if you want to own a home, don't first off, believe that you can. It's not complicated. What's required? Well, pay your bills on time. And if you had some trouble paying some bills on time, don't let that stop you. Let's take a look at those. Sometimes we can adjust them. Once you have been pre-approved and then you can't have your credit access anymore until you make the purchase.
Okay.
Don't make any big expenditures. Save your money. Spend a little. Don't apply for any new credit. Don't be late on anything. Just be a responsible financial person during the whole process. And if you do that, then you'll actually make it from the beginning to the end. You'll make it to close. And
I just want to piggyback on that. We talk about the late payments. For those that don't know, payment history is 35% of your credit profile. So easily one missed payment can take you from a 700 down to a 620 in a matter of one missed payment.
That's correct.
People don't understand that. That's like the biggest factor in really just thinking about, like, a lot of people have good credit versus other people that don't have it, simply because some people pay their bills on time and some people don't. And I tell a lot of my clients that if I could just break down credit into one word, it's just being disciplined.
Being disciplined.
That's it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Mike. You know, and not only can your credit drop by quite a bit with that one late payment, but this is what you do. It could take up to 3 years for that to correct itself.
Absolutely.
So you really that's the number one thing. And the other thing is people need to understand that if we all run into hardship and difficult times, so we don't let pride get in the way. If you never see anybody get hit by a truck they saw coming, I like to say. So if you find yourself getting into a difficult situation, contact the people that you owe payments to and make arrangements and things like that. Do whatever you got to do to keep those late payments from showing up on your credit report. They don't show up until after 30 days. So a lot of people don't realize that. They think if they're 5 days late, 10 days late, 15 days late on the payment, that they just ruin their credit, which is not true. The credit bureaus don't start tracking your late payments until the 30-day mark. So 30,
Absolutely.
60, 90, 120. So you got 30 days to get that payment in. And if you can't get it in, you got that same 30 days to make an arrangement and agreement with the creditor, so they won't have a reason to report you to the credit bureau.
Absolutely.
And as long as you keep your credit bureau information clean of late payments, you can own a home and you can keep good credit.
So have you ever had a situation where one of your clients was approved and they did not listen to Mr. LeDon Clayborn about?
Yes.
So tell us about that. What happened?
Well, I was just telling Casandra about one incident where I had a young lady pre-approved. We're in the process of getting her home, and she's excited, so she decided to go do a little shopping. And like my wife, one of her favorite places is Kohl's. And you know how Kohl's are. They'll give you 20, 30, 40% off. Just sign here and apply for this card, this Kohl's card, and you get this money. Well, it just so happened in her particular circumstances that she was right on the cuff of her approval. So meaning, 1 point less would raise her rate, and any increase in her interest rate would also raise her debt to income, which would basically lower how much house she could buy, which would not approve her for the house she had already signed an agreement on. But she applied for that Kohl's credit, and then when we got ready to go close, we got the alert and pulled the supplemental report, and it dropped her score by 3 points. And just 3 points was all it took to change her approval and made it impossible for her to close on her house. So once we get your approval, all we can say is just say no. Don't buy nothing. Don't sign nothing. Don't apply for nothing. Once you close and get in your home, you can go to Kohl's and you can go to Gardner White, wherever you like to shop, and you can go have some fun then. But wait till after it's done.
So more of the story. Listen to LeDon.
Yeah. Listen to the lender.
For sure. So I mean, yeah, that's kind of tough though. Like I said,
it's heartbreaking.
3 points though. Like
it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking, to see somebody's dreams vanish. Now, what I will say is that it's not the end of the world.
Right.
It's an emotional thing. So at the moment, it's going to feel like it. But honestly, that's somebody I would send back to you and start the process all over again. Let you do your magic with their credit and figure out a way to get those points back and get those scores back up, and then we can start again. But to avoid that delay and that heartache, just once you're approved, don't apply for anything. Don't do anything that would jeopardize that approval. And usually the average approval with a lender is good for 90 to 120 days before it has to be redone. So
same difference when I tell my clients, when I'm working on their credit, don't apply for anything.
Right.
Don't apply for anything.
That's right.
If you apply for it, it's going to make the task a lot harder.
That's
because like we're already trying to push a rock up a hill. So again, just being disciplined though.
Yeah, this takes a little discipline. It's not too hard. It's I tell you, I don't know. The world makes it seem like the dream of being a homeowner is unattainable or so far out of reach, and it really isn't.
Right.
It's just a matter of starting the process with the right people, which I think we are the right people.
Absolutely.
And let us walk you through the process. Most of my first-time home buyers, the first thing I do is I provide them my first-time home buyer's guide. And it gives them a step-by-step outline of the do's and don'ts and what they got to do to get prepared for this home purchase. So that way there's no mistakes, there's no confusion whatsoever. It's very easy read, a step-by-step. And as long as we're in sync with that, we can get you into a home and you can stop paying 100% interest.
My man, Brother LeDon Clayborn, like we truly, I know I appreciate these gems you dropping this early morning, though, man. Like,
oh, thank you.
If somebody wants to reach out to you or contact you about more information about going through the process of getting a home, where can they find you at?
Well, of course, they can email or call or text. My email is LeDon, LeDon .Clayborn, CLAYBORN @rate.com. And then my cell is 248-761-5000. They can call or text, or they can go to my personal page, which is LeDonClayborn.com. And if they go there, they can actually request a copy of the first-time homebuyer's guide. It'll get emailed to them immediately, and they can have that and download it. And it'll also allow them to be able to reach out to me as well.
Man, Brother LeDon, we appreciate you so much, man, on these good gems this morning, though.
Thank you.
Let's go to our next guest. What is your name, young lady?
Casandra Russell.
How you doing this morning, Casandra Russell?
Doing great. Thank you.
So, just tell us just a little bit about, just yourself, your experience, and just a couple things that, people need to know about once LeDon passes the baton over to you, just a couple things that people should know they're going to get themselves into.
That's right. Well, as a realtor, the first thing that we're looking for when a client approaches us is, have they been through the pre-approval process? What is their credit score?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Those are the first things. I mean,
right.
If we're kind of stuck, if we don't have a pre-approval, we can't move forward. I wouldn't move forward to show them any homes without that. So that's definitely the first step.
Okay. So let's say that I want to go look at this $1 million house, and I was only approved for $200,000. Would you take me over there? Can I go look at it?
Well, I would suggest if you wanted to see something like that, you do that on your own time. Maybe go to the open house. I'm not going to waste the seller's time or mine to do that. And certainly the client, if they're serious about getting into a house, they're not going to look at those homes. They're gonna know what they're approved for. They're gonna know, right away after talking to LeDon what they're approved for and what they can actually buy. So once we get to that point, then I would set up a search based on those parameters, a range, somewhere in where they can, where they can look at homes in that range, and then whatever other criteria that they're interested in, their wants and needs, and go from there.
And I heard LeDon mention that the pre-approval is good for 120 days. So most from, let's say, 60 to 120 days or whatever. So what's about 2 to 4 months, somewhere around that time frame?
Yeah, well, I mean, sometimes we get lucky and the homeowner finds the house that they're looking for right away, but most oftentimes it's a couple of tours. It takes a couple times to get out there and look at the homes. And generally, once we find the home, as long as they don't change, their credit, as long as they don't go out and buy anything, the process takes about 30 to 45 days.
Okay. So y'all hear that out there.
Yeah.
Don't apply for any new credit when you're going to purchase a home, because you could really mess yourself up.
That's right.
That's right.
So what's the longest that you personally had to go through trying to help someone find a home?
Well, we did just get through a tough time as a buyer. It was actually my family members took them through some homes, and I mean, I think it was a good 6 months before we actually found them. We bid on a lot of homes and just kept getting outbid, but that's the process. Now it's a little better. It's a little easier to get out there and look at homes.
Yeah, just because you bid on a home doesn't mean the seller has to accept it, because usually you're not the only one bidding on it. Mm-hmm. As a lender, that's something I try to help my realtors with some of the programs. We have a guaranteed rate. We have programs that helps them look more attractive to the seller, so hopefully it helps them win some more bids. We have programs like our fast track processing, so we can give them a faster than usual close date. Okay. We could take ownership of the home. We try to streamline the process, things like that. We try our best to help them be in a position to win the bids on the homes. We have we engage in things of showing them how to do what we call the appraisal gap, meaning in a seller's market, which we're more in the buyer's market now. When you say, for sure. But when you're more in the seller's market, sometimes the house you want, you may have to make an offer that's greater than what they're asking for just to beat out the next person. And we have creative ways with financing to make that possible for you without it being a financial burden, without it really changing your monthly budget. So you may take, and if you're a person that's putting 20% down, maybe we have you go to 15 or 10% down, give you a very attractive program at that rate that still fits in your budget. But now you can take that savings and offer a larger price for the house.
Okay.
But in the buyer's market, not so much. It's not required. Usually the sellers are making you offers to take their house. That's what we like. Yeah.
I get that. So let's say, Casandra, you said the 6 months or whatever. So what happened when your family member exceeded that? For the pre-approval probably ran out once it got to the 6 months. So what happened at that point? Did you have to go back to LeDon to get another pre-approval to make sure they were still credible to actually go out?
Yes, it actually did happen. So we were able to go back to the lender and have them go through the process again, verify income, just look at their credit real quick, and just, I mean, it doesn't take but a day or two usually.
Yeah, it's pretty quick. Yeah, it doesn't take long, especially if they're doing everything they're supposed to do. It's minutes. We can, re-verify income, re-verify assets, re-verify credit. If everything is the same or better, great. We can reissue a new pre-approval letter with a new date on it. So
let me ask you this though: have you ever had someone go back to that point where they have to do another pre-approval, and then they weren't approved?
I actually have not. I keep them pretty informed about.
Okay.
I tell them I let them know that it's very important to stay on track. Make sure all your payments are on time, and don't go out and spend. Don't apply for any new credit. So I keep them pretty informed. So if that were to ever happen, there shouldn't be any reason why they couldn't get a pre-approval letter right away.
So you're saying your clients are good. It's just that LeDon clients are one of the delinquents. They're the one that's not going to stay within the scope.
Hey, Mike,
It
I've
happens.
inherited, not my client, but I've inherited other people's clients who they failed to inform them, and I had to fix someone else's situation. But most good lenders, and if they've been in the business for a while, this is standard. This is standard operation. You want to make sure that buyer knows that, the do's and don'ts, so you don't want to start a process and then have to, that's like Christmas coming off of somebody a child a Christmas gift, and then just before they go to open it, say, oh no, wait, that's not for you. You can't have that. You don't want to do that. No way. So you educate them. You just let them know. But it happens sometimes. It's not a good feeling for anybody. It's sad actually. You're disappointed for them, and it's a tough conversation to have too, to tell somebody like, yeah, I know you were approved to buy this house, but you no longer are. And so we try to do everything we can to avoid ever having to have a conversation with someone. But to say it never happens would be untrue.
No, and I get that. So one of your clients comes to you, like, what type of advice do you give your clients once they've gotten to this point, like, to be able to make sure that the process goes smooth? You can be able to just help them find the house that they want to buy. Just what's 3 tips that you can give someone?
Well, the main thing is for them to be honest.
Okay.
And be prepared to talk about finances. And
Okay.
it maybe come with questions. I'm going to be asking questions, and I want them to ask questions too of me if they don't understand something.
Okay.
What are their wants and needs when they're buying a house? Those types of things. So really just being knowledgeable.
Yeah, I co-sign that. There's no stupid question. Right. Especially if you're a first-time home buyer, just ask. We're not going to go, what are you asking that question for? The more questions you ask, the more information we can get and understand of what you know, what you don't know, and what you need to know, because it never fails. The one question you don't ask could be the question that could be the thing that can prevent you from getting the house or getting approved. So ask lots of questions and just allow us to guide you through the process.
Y'all have just been dropping just a lot of gems this morning. Just a question. So a person finds a house, they have to get an inspector. Who's responsible for paying for the inspector to look at the house? Is it the homeowner, or is it the actual person that's trying to buy the home?
That would be the actual person that's trying to buy the home. They would want to pay for that inspection. They want to make sure that, that home, everything in the home is up to par. There's no hidden, issues. Make sure the roof is, good to go. A lot of the appliances are working. They can sometimes determine approximate age on some of these things as well. So it's important to have that inspection done.
Yeah, like I said, I just want everybody to just have an understanding of just the process that it takes from going to LeDon passing the baton over to you, so somebody can be able to just watch this podcast and just know, hey, I have a great understanding of the process that it takes for buying a home. But I think we're all in agreement. So one thing that they definitely have to have is good credit.
Absolutely.
Well, yeah. But be careful, because, people hear good credit and they think perfect credit, and that's just not the case. You do not have to have perfect credit to own a home. In fact, I close more homes for first-time home buyers with what I would say is more bruised credit than perfect credit. So you don't have credit scores go up as high as 850. You don't have to have an 850 to own a home. You don't have to have a 750 to own a home. You don't have to have a 650 to own a home. Right. I can get you in a home if all things right with a 550, 550, 560 credit score. So you just want to talk to us and let us review what you have and educate you a little bit on how to be responsible financially, so that you stay in a position where you can own. But you don't have to have perfect credit. You just got to be responsible. You just got to pay your things on time, and we understand things happen. So don't let charge-offs, collections scare you away. Let us help you with that. Because if you come to me and I look and say, wow, you got You got a car note and a credit card. You pay that on time, but you got this medical bill and the student loan that's been charged off. Okay. Well, then I'm going to send them to you, Mike, and have you, tell you which one of those trade lines I need to have addressed and why for the program I'm trying to do for them. We get it taken care of, and boom, now they're buying a house. So you don't have to have perfect credit. In fact, you can have bruised credit and still own a home.
So let me ask you this, though. So I know you can refinance a car. How long would a person have to wait to refinance a home?
That's a great question. It just depends on what type of mortgage program they're in, but usually, you usually don't want to refinance before you've been in the house at least 90 to 120 days.
Okay.
More like 6 months, be honest with you. You don't want to, depends on the loan program. You may have to wait a grace period before you can refinance, but it's not too long. It ain't like you got to wait years. I've helped many homeowners buy a home this year and refinance them the following year. So,
no, and I get that. I get that. Like Casandra, just I want to just switch it back over to her because I want the people to be able to know if they want to be able to. We got the first part of the tag team tandem. He gave us this information and everything, but people can reach out to him. How can people be able to reach out to you if they want to get in touch with Casandra Russell?
Absolutely. I can be found on Instagram, Facebook, of course. Call or text. My number is 734-904-0197, or email me at cass@josephwalterrealty.com.
Yep, and I'm going to back up because it is billions of people in the world. So what's your Instagram name? What's your Facebook name? Because if I want to find you on there, though, let's see. Hey, what's your name on there, though?
It's simple. It's Casandra Russell. Thank you.
On both platforms?
Yes.
And there it is, though.
hey, my Instagram is I Do Loans.
Hey, listen, you heard the brother. He do loans.
I do loans.
Listen, Casandra, man, my man LeDon, I truly appreciate y'all coming on. My first guest ever on Let's Talk About It. Y'all been great guests on here today, though. And I appreciate y'all for coming out. I look forward to just seeing and sending people y'all way to be able to just help y'all, help them take care of their dreams that they want to acquire in the future, becoming a homeowner, and sending them to y'all too. So I thank y'all very much for coming out this morning.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Mike. It was a pleasure.
Absolutely. And for everybody out there, thank you so much for tuning in to Let's Talk About It. I hope you have a blessed day. Peace.